both were recognized in several awards, including the Clean Water Action's Not in Anyone's Backyard Award, and the Children's Health Hero Award, and the Toxic Action Center's Citizen Award. After decades of practicing internal medicine, she now practices political medicine, focusing on what she calls the mother of all illnesses, our sick political system. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jill Stein.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you to Headrock and Anita for saying so well what it is that we're here today for and what it is that we are really dedicated to and working for and working towards. And this is such a wonderful time to be doing that. And thank you, actually, to you all for being here today, because this is an amazing historic moment. There is a movement for democracy and justice that is sweeping the planet, and people are rising up and calling for an America and a world that works for all of us. Thank you. We're told that we are in a recovery, but in fact we are in an emergency, and the political parties that got us into this mess are completely incapable of getting us out. So the American people are leading the way forward, and the demand for deep change has grown to a fevered pitch. Young people are leading the courageous Black Lives Matter movement to stop police militarization and racist violence, and calling for an end to extrajudicial murders of so many African American children and parents like Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, Eric Garner, and more. Families and teachers are mobilizing to keep schools from closing in our communities and to simply keep public education in existence. Momentum is growing against abusive high-stakes testing that forces poor kids down the deadly school-to-prison pipeline. And the fight is building against predatory mass incarceration that holds 1 in 3 African American men hostage to our vast prison state. Workers are fighting for a living wage and for the right to a union. Students are demanding an end to college debt that has crippled a generation. Hardworking immigrants are standing up for a humane path to citizenship, not simply a 3-year deferral of deportation. Frontline and indigenous communities are leading the resistance to toxic fossil fuels that threaten to disrupt civilization as we know it in our lifetimes. The list goes on because this movement is alive and well in our communities, and it marks the coming of age of a new generation. So it's time for a generational shift in our national vision. We've had enough of rule by the economic elite with their cult of cutthroat competition and their religion of greed. We've had enough of corporate capitalism that puts profits ahead of people, planet, and peace. These deranged values have dominated media, politics, and the economy for decades. And it's now clear for all to see where they lead: to extreme inequality, to economic despair, to racism, endless war, and climate catastrophe. So it's time for a new way forward, with a new society, a new economy, a new energy and food system, and a new era of racial justice. The old politics is collapsing, and the political vacuum is begging to be filled. That vacuum was plainly seen in the 2014 midterm elections. And those elections were not a victory for Republicans, as they've been widely misrepresented, but they were actually a rejection of Democrats. 2014's record low voter turnout reflected profound disillusionment with both parties, So 2016 provides an incredible opportunity to fill that political vacuum and surge forward. The voices of resistance and transformation deserve to be heard loud and clear. And that's why I am announcing today the formation of an exploratory committee for the 2016 presidential election. We will use this exploratory campaign to reach out to young people, to workers, employed, underemployed, and discouraged, to frontline communities, to immigrants, to communities of color. We'll reach out to women and seniors, indigenous nations, the LGBT community, and all who've been neglected, abandoned, or betrayed by the Democratic and Republican parties. And we'll offer a campaign in service of the justice that they deserve. The Green Party can do this because we are the only national party that is not poisoned by corporate money. The only one. In 2012, we emerged as the nation's leading progressive party, challenging the status quo. And now we are going to build on that. We will lift up the bold solutions that the American people are calling for. 20 million living wage jobs in an emergency Green New Deal to enrich our communities, not corporations, to rein in climate change, and to make wars for oil obsolete. We call for health care as a human right, not a subsidized profit center for predatory insurance companies like Obamacare, but a Medicare for all system to provide quality care for everyone while saving trillions of dollars simply by streamlining the massive private health insurance bureaucracy. We call for quality-free public education as a human right, and an end to runaway school privatizations and closings, high-stakes testing, and student loan debt. We call for an emergency transition to a green economy powered by 100% wind, water, and sun by 2030. We call for a welcoming path to citizenship for immigrant residents and an end to the predatory trade deals and political interventions that created the surge of mass migration to start with. We call for an end to the racist war on drugs, the school-to-prison pipeline, militarized police, the surveillance and prison state, and a radical reduction of America's prison population. And finally, we call for a foreign policy based on human rights, international law, and diplomacy rather than global military and economic domination. As we test the waters, we can plan the campaign of a lifetime to match this moment of historic possibility. In closing, I invite you to visit jill2016.com, connect with us, volunteer, make a donation, and in Spanish, para leer una copia de este discurso en español y darle cualquier seguimiento que necesita, por favor, visite www.jillstein.org/español. Gracias. This is the time to come together. Solutions are in our hands, justice is in our hands, democracy is in our hands. Together, we can create a world that works for all of us and ensure that